Hey Internet, I'm John and this is Digitize It. Today we are going to digitize a tree. Just the base of the tree, we would need a drone to get all the way up top, but trust me, it's going to be really cool. Here's a sneak peek. You don't get to see the whole thing yet. We're going to show you that at the end of the video, so stick around. And at the end of the video, I'm going to show you how you can download this model for free. You can even view it on your phone. So, we need 4 things. 1, a phone to take pictures with. 2, a computer. I have a pretty good computer, but you don't need the best computer. You only need something that's reasonably modern. 3, we need our model, in this case, a tree. And 4, and this is probably the most tricky, we need really even lighting. Now, outside in the sun, that's really hard to do, so I picked a day to shoot this video that's overcast. See, look. It's beautiful. Oh, look at all that even lighting. So let's go over to a tree, and you can see there are no harsh shadows at all. I'll show you why in a minute, why that's so important. Don't worry, that's not the tree we're digitizing. We're actually digitizing this guy. So this is the first video actually on my whole channel, and we're just doing one tree, but in the next video we're gonna do a trail and a forest. Now we gotta walk before we can run, so we're just doing one tree now, and I can show you the basics. But if you want to see that video of the trail through the forest, make sure and hit the subscribe button and ring the bell while you're at it, so that way you can get notified when I upload it. So for the past 3 years, gosh, it's been 3 years. I've been doing something called photogrammetry as a job. I'm a professional photogrammetrist. I don't think we've ever really come up with a title for it, but basically, you just use photos. That's right, just photos. You can use your phone to take them, and you turn them into a 3D model. So let me show you how it works. So let's look at one point on this tree. Okay, so let's look at this little green dot. Now that's a very identifiable piece of, I guess, moss or mold or whatever that is. Okay, so our camera is right here. If we move it, even just a little bit, we can see that not only does it move, but that point moves on the screen in relation to other things. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and take the photos. Now I'm gonna use my phone. You can use any camera you want, but I just want to show you that you really don't need any special equipment to do this. Now, in future videos, yeah, we're gonna need some nicer cameras, but for now, all you need is a phone. So let's do it. Oh, it is a bad day to wear a hoodie. So yeah, I kind of got a sweat on doing that. I'm not gonna lie, in 3 years of doing this, I really haven't gotten used to the weird looks people give you, because I was just taking photos circling around a tree, and this guy and his daughter we're walking down this path that we were next to, and he saw me, and we made eye contact, and he was just like, no, let's go the other way. And he just turned around and went the other direction. That's okay though, because we're doing something really cool here. So the next thing to do is to load these photos into a program called Metashape. Now, it costs money, but you can get a free 30-day trial, and you can also actually demo it as much as you want. You just can't export it. So if you think that your computer might not be fast enough to handle this, then you can always just do the demo for free and do a test run and see if it is. But we got some really good photos. We got photos from just about every angle. I was a dumb dummy and accidentally switched it into portrait mode at the end. We can't really use those photos. They came out kind of wonky, but that's okay, because I think we got enough photos, and well, let's just jump into the next part. All right, so now we have our photos. We're gonna put them into a program called Metashape. Metashape is awesome. I love it so much. I've been using it for 3 years now. Actually, I've been using it since before it was called Metashape. It used to be called Photoscan. So if you ever see anything called Photoscan, that's actually what it's talking about. It's the same program that just changed the name probably a year and a half ago. I don't even remember. But anyway, all we have to do for this particular model and video, it does get more complicated than this, but basically I just put it in here. I generated something called a sparse cloud, and then I generated what you're seeing now, which is called a dense cloud. So I spent about half an hour, 45 minutes, somewhere around there, cleaning this up, and I'll talk about that in a second. But what you're seeing, and you might be able to pause the video and see that we're actually looking not at what appears at a distance to be a solid model. It's actually just a collection of millions and millions of dots. So remember what I was talking about earlier when I pointed to that point on the tree? Basically, you take these photos and they have points of high contrast. Each photo has hundreds of points of high contrast on it. So, you know, like a dot on a table, a black dot on a white table, the computer would look at that and be like, okay, I know what that is. And I'm going to look at the next photo now and see where that dot is in relation to other things. So when we move the camera, basically all we're doing is teaching the computer, hey, this is what this looks like from this angle, this is what it looks like from this angle. And then we're telling it, hey, figure out where this is in 3D space. And usually it does a pretty good job. Now, unfortunately, since we used a phone camera, we got a lot of noise. And most of what I'm doing here is just cleaning up that noise. You see those white dots all over the place, especially around the top of the object. That's noise. We don't like that. So I gave up half an hour, 45 minutes into it. And I was like, it's good enough for YouTube. And actually, it ended up, when I exported it, it ended up getting rid of almost all the noise. And we came out with a pretty clean model. Now, this noise happened for a couple of reasons. One, we're using a really low resolution camera, aka my phone. I have an iPhone 8 Plus. Phones will get better in the future, but it'll never really be as good as a DSLR. So in future videos, we are going to use a DSLR. For the first video on this channel, I just wanted to show you guys, hey, you can use a phone to do this. You don't have to go out and buy fancy equipment. You can get away with just what you have in your pocket. The other thing that a phone, and the reason why this noise is so white, is, and you can rewind the video if you want, you can see in many of the photos that show the sky, the sky was just completely white. So that's something called dynamic range. We'll talk about that in a future video. But what you need to know is that a phone does not have very good dynamic range. So it sees something really bright, like the sky, and it's like, oh, well, I can't handle that, so I'm just going to make it completely white. Metashape doesn't really like that, and that's one of the reasons why we had so much noise near the top of the frame and why it's white. It's because the sky was white, and Metashape saw those photos, and it was like, whoa, it's just one solid color. I don't have anything to track onto, and it freaked out. But it did a pretty good job of everything else, and honestly, just using my phone, I was very impressed the results I got here. I mean, remember, I usually use a Nikon D810, which is a really high-res, if a little out of date, but still really high-res camera with great dynamic range, and I get results obviously way better than this, but honestly, I'm really amazed that the phone was able to deliver an end result this good. So what you're seeing here is not necessarily very pretty, but it is very objective. So we captured everything. And remember when I was talking about how important it is to capture without shadows? I hope now you can see why, because if there had been any shadows in real life, then those would be kind of baked on to the 3D model, and that would not be good. It'd be really hard to get rid of that. You know, it's like when you're trying to Photoshop a picture of yourself onto a beach. The trickiest part of that is not actually putting yourself on the beach, it's making the lighting realistic, because when you take a picture of yourself, say in your bedroom, the lighting is going to be way different than on the beach, and it's really, really, really hard to simulate that. The same applies to 3D space, right? So if you start with something that has a lot of shadows in it, suddenly when, for example, if you're making a movie and you want to put a 3D object, you want to motion track it into a scene, right? If it has shadows baked into it, then it's not really going to look like it belongs in the scene. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have completely even lighting. And when you're outside, the best way to do that is to only shoot when it's overcast. So there are no shadows. This is a really, really clean result. Now we can always add shadows later because we're working with a 3D model. We can do whatever we want to it. And actually that leads me to the end of this video, which is kind of what you saw at the beginning of the video. It's called a rendering. I'm going to make in a program called Blender a quick animation to some music showing you just how good of a result we got. I mean, you can zoom in pretty far on this without seeing much of a loss of detail. And after that, I'm going to show you guys how you can download this model for free. That's right, I'm giving it away for free. I don't need to keep a model of a tree. You guys can have it. And hopefully you guys can have as many models as I can make on this channel. So anyway, without any further ado, I'm sure you're tired of my voice. Let's listen to some music and let's see that sweet, sweet B-roll. Alright, I'm back in the park, hopefully before it rains. Anyway, that looks really good. I don't think you need me to tell you that. I think you can probably see that it looks really good. So if you want to see the next video, hopefully with fewer birds chirping in it, be sure and subscribe right there in the bottom corner, and ring that bell just to make sure you stay notified, so that way you know when that video comes out, because it's going to be really cool. So anyway, thanks for watching. I'm John, this is Digitize It, and I'll see you in the next one.